The dollar just had its worst half-year drop in 50 years, more than 10% gone. While that's happening, BRICS is getting bigger, louder, and more powerful. And now Trump is back, threatening tariffs on everyone in the group. Is this economic war helping the US? Or is Trump handing BRICS the win? Trump fires back at BRICS. At the same time BRICS leaders gathered in Brazil for their latest summit, Donald Trump was preparing his latest round of economic warfare. He accused the bloc of trying to degenerate the US dollar and warned that every BRICS member country could soon be hit with an additional 10% tariff. No exceptions. And he didn't hold back on the rhetoric either. Trump claimed BRICS was set up just to weaken America. He said, "If we lose the standard, it'll be like losing a major war." According to him, the entire goal of this alliance is to knock the US dollar off its throne and replace it with a new global standard. And yet, in the same breath, Trump called BRICS not a serious threat. It's a confusing message, but one thing is clear. Washington feels cornered. Because while Trump's talking, BRICS is moving. What BRICS has become. BRICS isn't just a loose group of emerging economies anymore. The original 5, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have now been joined by Saudi Arabia, Iran, the UAE, Indonesia, Egypt, and Ethiopia. That brings the total to 10 nations, and this group is no longer in America's economic shadow. Together, they represent more than 50% of the global population, and they're doing more than just showing up. They control over 40% of the world's oil production and nearly 75% of global rare earth reserves critical for every tech product from iPhones to fighter jets. In terms of economic size, measured by purchasing power parity, they've already overtaken the G7. Yes, that includes the US, Canada, Japan, and major EU economies. So when Trump throws tariffs at this bloc, he's not targeting a small club, he's challenging a force that's already reshaping global trade, the real issue. Let's be clear, this isn't just about trade. Trump's real fear is something deeper: de-dollarization. That's the slow but steady movement of countries reducing their dependence on the US dollar for international trade and financial settlements. And it's not just talk, it's happening. India's Ministry of External Affairs has already confirmed that BRICS members are actively exploring local currency trade and new payment infrastructure. One idea gaining momentum is an interoperable payment system similar to India's Unified Payments Interface that would allow seamless transactions across member nations without using the dollar. And it's not just India. Russia has been pushing even harder. Faced with more than 20,000 Western sanctions, Moscow now does over 53% of its foreign trade in Chinese yuan. That number was just 40% a few years ago. They're creating alternatives out of necessity, and those alternatives are working. Trump's problem? His own policies are fueling BRICS. Here's the irony. While Trump blasts BRICS for attacking the dollar, his own policies are doing just as much damage, if not more. In the first half of 2025, the US dollar fell more than 10%. That's the worst January to June performance in half a century. Experts say it's not just global shifts, it's Washington's instability. Unpredictable tariff announcements, heavy government spending, a downgraded US credit rating, rising debt payments. These aren't signs of strength, they're red flags. Even the threat of a 10% blanket tariff on all BRICS nations has investors worried. It injects more uncertainty into trade relationships and increases the chance of retaliation. Trump has already pushed the deadline for these tariffs to August 1st and hinted that he's willing to backtrack for certain countries. That's not confidence, it's confusion. BRICS trade is booming. Despite all of Washington's pressure, BRICS members are trading more than ever. Intra-BRICS trade jumped 40% between 2021 and 2024. Last year alone, internal trade between BRICS countries crossed $740 billion. And the partnerships are strategic. India, for example, now gets 43% of its oil imports from Russia. That's more than it buys from Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE combined. Even under sanctions, even with US warnings, India continues to do what's best for its economy. Meanwhile, Chinese car makers like BYD and SAIC are dominating markets in South Africa and Brazil. BYD even took over a former Ford factory in Brazil, a Chinese company replacing an iconic American brand. This isn't just business, it's a shift in influence. While the US focuses on punishing BRICS countries, they're growing closer economically and politically. What makes BRICS effective? Flexibility. One of the reasons BRICS is becoming so powerful is that it isn't rigid. It doesn't try to make every member fit one model. There's no forced agenda or binding economic rules like in the EU or NATO. Instead, BRICS works through shared interests. It lets members pursue bilateral deals that benefit their local economies while slowly reducing dependence on Western systems. And that's what really scares Washington. A group of countries, some friends, some rivals, all moving away from the dollar, step by step. No fanfare, no formal declaration, just quiet, consistent shifts in policy and trade. The global financial balance is changing. This isn't speculation anymore. It's happening in real time. The dollar is still dominant, but it's no longer untouchable. The euro, yen, and other currencies are growing stronger. Gold is becoming a safer hedge for central banks. And BRICS, once a loose coalition, is now a serious alternative to US-led trade systems. And Trump? His tariffs might slow down this process in the short term, but in the long run, they're accelerating it. Countries are realizing they need alternatives. They're realizing that overdependence on the dollar puts them at risk of American policy changes, sanctions, and economic warfare. So while Trump says, "The dollar is king, we're going to keep it that way," the rest of the world is preparing for what comes after the king falls. Trump's fight may have sparked the BRICS fire. It's not that BRICS suddenly woke up and decided to challenge the US. It's that US policy created the perfect conditions for them to grow stronger together. Sanctions pushed Russia toward China. Tariffs pushed China toward Africa. Energy dependence brought India and Russia closer. And now, with Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Indonesia in the mix, BRICS isn't just reacting, it's shaping the new normal. Trump's trade war, meant to isolate BRICS, may have done the exact opposite. Instead of deterring them, it united them. And instead of protecting the dollar, it may have triggered the very shift he was trying to stop. The world isn't waiting for the US anymore. It's moving on its own terms. And the dollar? It's still king for now. But kings fall. And BRICS isn't just knocking at the door, it's building a whole new house.